Can we talk about that uranium for a minute? So
Yeah.
I know you follow that quite a bit. I know you've talked to a bunch of uranium people, and it's a market that I kind of have my eye on. I've looked at it a little bit. And so it seems like uranium is, or nuclear power, I should say, in my opinion, seems like it's the only viable option for us moving forward if we want clean energy. Carbon-free energy, I should say, right? We have clean natural gas, and I would imagine we could make it cleaner if we invested a little bit of money into it. But if we want to go whatever, carbon-free or whatever, nuclear seems to be the only option. But at the same time, it seems it's very hated today. And I understand we want to buy what's hated when it has potential upside, right? Get there first. But it seems to me that uranium is still in the downward hated model. And what I mean by that, I know you just left California, me too. We had 3 nuclear reactors, 2 have been shut down. There's still another one scheduled to be shut down. So it seems like most countries are still scheduling to shut the nuclear reactors down. Are other countries opening them up very fast? Like, how do you see that hated and supply demand thing working out if you've figured it out?
Yeah, it's hated maybe on a more social level, but on a political level, it's actually one of the only things that Democrats and Republicans agree on. And that's because, of course, is the amount of electrical needs that our world has that are going to keep going up. We're seeing instability in grids in many places in the world, and nuclear is the only viable option. China pollutes a lot. China knows they need to go more nuclear. Japan has just talked recently about bringing all their reactors back online.
Oh, they have.
It's needed just that. Yeah. It's also 20% of the United States based power load. That's going to increase, and then it's like the U.S. is trying,
doesn't it seem like the U.S. and I know like Germany, they're like trying to shut down nuclear reactors, or you think you're starting to see talk of policy?
They're not going to be, yeah, but they're not going to be able to. You cannot go down from the 20% base load. Most of the world is closer to 10% from what I've learned from all the people that I've been interviewing and such. So that's a lot, and there's a supply and demand deficit story that, is a different story, but it's needed. It's one of, Republicans, obviously they're down for whatever types of energy, whereas Democrats have been more conservative and saying they want a renewable. And so, they're not as, hey, we're doing natural gas. They prefer to avoid that, but they're on board with nuclear as well. There's dozens and dozens. I sent you a chart a long time ago about every single nuclear reactor that's being built or planning to go online by 2025. It's crazy. What I saw was within this decade, by the end of 2030, the biggest company is Kazatomprom. And it's like the biggest, that's the Russian company, and they've got all, their biggest producer in the world. It said that, and I'm butchering their name, and it said KAP is their ticker symbol, that 2 more of them, all of their production need to come online this decade to meet the coming demand for nuclear. And the price is only $30. It needs to go to about 50 or so to incentivize more mines to come online, because it's about $50 with financing or so per pound to bring more uranium online. And so whether some people in the public don't like it or not, the fact is it's going to be needed, and it's a misunderstood subject.
I believe it is misunderstood. Yeah.
So I think as people understand it, it's actually one of the only things where you see Democrats and Republicans agreeing on. It's one of the only things. And so I think that's going to be changing drastically, especially as, there's more and more third world countries that want more and more of the luxuries of the first world. That is more the electrification of the world. And one of the most important component of the electrification of the world and that we have, especially on a safety level, is because so many countries want to lower their carbon emissions. I mean, I think they're the biggest polluter in the world.
For sure.
They've agreed, because they've got people just like dropping dead in the street in China. Like, you do not know, their air quality is so bad, and they've been using coal. And so they know that, like, they can't just like have people dropping dead in the streets. When it was really bad, when I know when I was younger, there's like certain days where you weren't allowed to go outside and like, you know, so this is just right now, it coexists perfectly with the renewables that the Democrats want, which they control both aspects. And it's something, you know, Republicans also are on board with because they know it's dependable. You know, we know we're not going to have powers, you know, problem powers.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think, you know, I made a video talking about the California blackouts that happened a few months ago that went kind of viral. I think 500,000 views, something like that. And I said, it's coming for the rest of the country in that video. And of course, now we see it happening in Texas. And the reason why is because it's policy, right? So they're choosing to shut down production for renewables, but renewables aren't reliable. Renewables, it's not always sunny. The wind doesn't always blow. Sometimes it's so cold the propellers freeze up, or like it's just not reliable. And so, you know, going back to fossil fuels is more reliable, or I think going to nuclear. So anyway, I kind of agree. I was just curious where you're at. I know in California we still scheduled to shut one of our third and only last one down. So, but it makes sense. Other parts of the world will pick up demand.
California's just got to get a little bit more used to losing their power on a regular basis. You know, it's California. They're the most dinosaur primitive in their understanding of how to create a stable society. So, you know, by the time they get back on, the price of uranium is going to be $100 a pound. They'll be last to the club, of course.
Yeah.